Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It's about 4:30 on August 15, 2013. Before we look at the chart, I need to remind you that the website and the video are for educational purposes only, and nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I am not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. So let's take a look. Well, today, as was obvious from the get-go, we broke our neckline. This tells us that we should be looking for a minimum downside target in the mid-1650s. The target, as we measure it off of this, if we measure this as a head and shoulders top, then we measure the height of it from the neckline. Then we snap this to the point at which the neckline broke, and we end up with an expected target of approximately 1656. 1657. Additionally, we've got a support line here that I believe should do some good, at least for a short-term bounce, and that is due to the fact that we would expect some gap support to kick in at about 1654. Now, if we measure this without these 3 days, then we would end up with what would be a triangle. And if that is the correct definition of what was going on here, and these 3 days were just an outlier, then we've already made the minimum target. But I'm more inclined to go with what the chart is actually showing us. So I'm going to keep that target down here at about 1657. And but I really do think this should get a test down here at 1654. So, and as luck would have it, we don't break at some point during the day. We gap down at the open, and that just absolutely, if I can be blunt, that just blows chunks, because it makes it by and large an event that you just have to guess. You would have had to have said yesterday, you know, I think this is going to break, and you would have had to have gone short at the touch of what should be reasonably you could expect a bounce here. So that means in order to have done anything with today's move, you almost just have to gamble. And that just really stinks. How much nicer would it have been if the breaking of this neckline could have happened at 10 o'clock? Then we could watch it and we could go, up there it goes. Okay, now I'm short. Or now I'm selling my longs. Just whatever. So that stinks. Now, preliminarily, I am drawing a line over a couple bottoms and two tops, maybe three tops, depending upon what we call this at the end of the day today. And I made mention that if this pattern breaks to the downside, I don't think it's going to be catastrophic. Famous last words, but I just don't, because I think people are still, I think, on the sidelines wanting a piece of this action. And I don't think things are at all euphoric. As a matter of fact, I think people are still troubled about a lot of stuff that's going on. They should be. Now, I can't tell you for sure if they are, but I would rather suspect that we'll get this done with, and then we'll form some kind of little bottom somewhere, and we'll head right back up. And I say that only because that's been what the market has been doing for the past 4.5 years. And so far, we don't really have a long-term, what looks to be a really big turnaround top. Now, that said, if we break through this level and we come back down and we start taking out some other levels of support, then we'd have to reevaluate that statement. You can see we're very near to this line right here. I think we should bounce there. And if we do, then that may be a good spot to do one of two things: either add to your long positions, cover your short-term short positions, or just relax. And if you're already long, don't do anything. I added a new trend line here that I don't think we had this on the chart yesterday's video. I may have put it on it actually after I did the piece. So I want to show you what that is. If we go to a daily chart and zoom in just a little bit, I've decided to put this line starting the mid-November low and then the last low we had in June. So this is drawn over the last two fairly significant bottoms that we've seen. And the other thing that I've done is this line is also worth keeping an eye on. We're a good ways off from this right now, but if we do start plowing through some some support lines, and we were to bounce and we were to go and get under 1600 and fail to bounce here, then I think that might be telling us that we are actually near a top that may have more serious implications than just a pause in the action. Because you could see, if that were to be the case, we could be setting up something of a topping pattern with a neckline here that would carry with it a target not into the low 1600s, but if this were to break, then we would be looking for a move probably into the mid 1400s, likely to challenge this support line right here. And if this support line goes, then we could be in some deep weeds. But that's all very preliminary. I just want to let you know that that's on the radar, if you will. For right now, coming into the trading for the last day tomorrow, I would be probably looking at this little pattern right here. If we break out over this and then come back for a back test, maybe around that 1657 mark, or even that 1654, if we were to tag down here, get up over this line, and then come down and tag it at some point tomorrow, satisfying this minimum requirement, or excuse me, not requirement, this minimum expected move to 1657, then I would take that as a sign of a short-term reversal. Then we just get to look at the chart and see what may be setting up at that point. So guys, this broke down today. Clearly, we've got the target almost met, not quite. Sadly, again, this is a situation where we pretty much gapped into this and never really had a chance to make much of this move, unless you did so late yesterday with a little crafty guesswork. If you did, more power to you. So guys, there's your video for August 15th, 2013. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. And let's see what we get served up with tomorrow.